Welcome, guys. This is Time to Tuesdays, and I'm your host, Kai Speaks, aka Mr. 215 to 305. Thank you all for tuning in. Like I said, tonight we have a very special guest. We have Offset in the building, who is wearing a lot of her what makes her creative. So we're going to have her talk about herself and what she does. So I guess just introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, how you got into what you do.
Okay. Peace and love, everyone. My name is Offset, and I am a creative. I like to call myself a jeweler. I create custom pieces that are fashionable, but more so based on your energy. So I create pieces that help flow your energy and help you vibrate on a different level. I'm originally from Tampa, Florida. My family is of Jamaican descent. And I got into basically working with crystals and copper. Just, I guess, that was the flow of life. It was something that spiritually occurred. I woke up one day and I was like, I'm going to start making things. And from there, I just started doing it, and it turned into something serious. And it's something that I continue to do now to this day. So,
okay,
yeah.
Great. And for you, what does it mean to be a creative? What does being a creative mean? Because, it's a term that I haven't heard often until I moved down here to Miami.
Okay. I think being a creative or being a creator is just tapping into that source power that we all have of being able to just produce, to create, to look within self and then bring something about, whether that be through painting, through music, through the arts. It's just that expression of being able to go within yourself and then bring something out for the world to see, and the world to be able to see a form or a piece of you through that. So just tapping into that source power, that source nature that we all have.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what allows you to create or to tap into that source the most?
I guess it's just by me getting into a meditative state, by me kind of just being at peace. That's when I find that I'm able to create the most, or even just being in the sun, just being recharged by the sun, or being charged by just the power of the life around me, of nature. Also through inspiration, whatever I find inspiration from, that encourages me to create. And I find that, if my energy is low, I kind of stray away from creating. So also keeping my energy at a certain space so that I feel as though I can create something for not only myself, but for the world. Yeah.
And have you always been into, meditating and energy and reading energies and stuff like that?
No, definitely. I haven't always been, but I feel like with the shift in energy that's occurring or that's occurred, I feel like it's kind of moved myself into that. I like to think that we are ever evolving, and the purpose of life is to continue to grow, and it's a journey of finding yourself and moving forward, and I feel like I'm on that journey of finding myself, and through that process I've begun to create, and I've begun to meditate, and I've begun to eat healthy. But it wasn't always like this. I was just like everyone else. I grew up in America. I've gone through the societal conditionings that so many of us go through, and I ate a certain way, I thought certain things, I felt certain things, but then I moved away from that as I allowed myself to just come into being accepting of who I am. And at first there was backlash for it,
Right.
A lot of people are like, why do you eat like that? My family wasn't approving of me being vegan. I was called a hippie or whatever the case may be. So it was just a matter of continuing to flow with my journey and being true to myself that allowed me to continue to get to this point. Okay,
and what would you say the determining factor was for you to get from point A to this transitioning point B?
The determining factor, I guess it was just allowing myself to be comfortable with who I am and being comfortable in my own truth, and not really falling into what people thought of me, or what people thought based on their own perceptions of me. Just being honest with myself and honest with the world around me, and the fact that I felt like I was doing something right. I have a passion for helping people, and this is something that's ancient but also very new to society today. So just knowing that there is a spiritual power behind what it is that I'm doing always kind of kept me to continue doing it.
Now, was it something that necessarily happened, or was it just like you just woke up one day and it was like, something isn't right, I don't feel right, I want to get into this?
I think it's a bit of both. I think it's something that gradually happens naturally, but then I think it's something that spiritually happens, from just I believe in the power of the spirits and ancestors and of a higher power, and I feel like it's something that I was kind of flowed into. It's something that my path kind of transferred or, flowed me into, and that I stuck with. It was like, okay, this is different, but I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to try this out, and it worked. And I received a lot of feedback from people because I was creating things, and they'd be like, wow, that's beautiful. Where did you get that? Or how did you find that? And I would tell people. Or I just started getting it more into crystals, and I could feel the energy of the crystals. I could feel how I felt differently by carrying a crystal versus when I didn't carry a crystal. And then I also could feel the difference within myself of just how I felt versus how I used to feel. I started looking different. I started acting different, but I felt like it was a good different. It was a positive different. I felt more powerful, and I felt more comfortable being myself.
Okay, that's interesting. And guys, feel free as you are tuning on, you can ask questions, ask also anything you like. If you feel like I'm missing anything, feel free to ask questions. Even drop some comments if you like what you hear. Make sure you let us know that you like what you hear. Or if you're not sure about some things, make sure to ask for some clarity and everything like that. But anyway, just comment away, ask questions and everything like that. So let's move more into the jeweler side of things. So what material do you use the most to, craft your jewelry?
So I use copper. That's kind of the base metal that I'm working on right now. I use wire, and everything that I create, I use my hands to create. I have basic tools like pliers, but even then with the size or the gauge of copper that I'm using, my pliers, I have to use my hands more so than anything. So copper is a very medicinal metal. It's one of the most ancient metals. It's a precious metal. It's a conductor of energy. In the camera, in our phones, and TVs, radios, there's copper. Cars, literally anything that's technological has copper in it.
Batteries.
So copper, batteries, lights, literally anything that has to do with technology has copper, and that's because it's such a great conductor of energy. And a lot of the technology that we have today is based off of us as humans, because the human is the original technology. So copper is able to conduct us in the same way that it's able to conduct the TV or the radio or the computer. It works through flowing our energy and just recharging us, and ancient Egyptians or the Kemetic people knew this, and they utilized this science. And it's something that was kind of lost over time, but a lot of people are getting back into that, and it just, you can feel the difference with it because of the way the energy moves. Copper is antibacterial, antifungal, antimicrobial. It has so many different healing properties to it. It literally can heal anything.
Wow.
Yeah, it's that amazing. It's that important. It's also a building block of melanin, which gives us our pigment, our color. So it helps to rejuvenate our melanin, recharge us through that. It helps with our immune system. It literally can do so much. It helps with collagen and basically the elasticity of our skin. Copper is, what else does it do? I feel like I said so much about copper. Like, it literally does so much.
Now, to help in like those other aspects that you mentioned, like the immune system, even recharging melanin, do you have to use it? Is that solely through wearing it as jewelry, or do you have to use it like, for instance, the immune system? Do you have to, create it or form it into another form
in order to get it? So you can wear copper and get the benefits of it by it just going through your skin, wearing it in the sun and sweating, and your pores taking it in and it going throughout your body through the bloodstream. But copper is also an element that is in a lot of foods. So eating copper-rich foods helps you to get copper, whether it be through greens or whatever the case may be. Copper-rich foods have copper. Then wearing copper also helps you to get in that copper. There's a chemical reaction that occurs when you wear copper that a lot of people actually mistake for being an allergic reaction, and that's when your skin turns slightly green, and that's because your body is working with it and it's soaking it in, and then from there it's going throughout you and you're getting that copper, and that usually happens when people are copper deficient. So
so it turns green. So if you're wearing something on your wrist that's copper, your wrist starts to turn green. It's turning green because you're copper deficient.
Well, it's turning green because your body is absorbing that. There's a chemical, the oxidation is occurring with your body, with the with your oils. You know, it's working. Basically, it's just taking it in. You're soaking it in, and it's going throughout your body when that occurs. Yeah.
So that's just also, it's literally just a sign of that.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have been told, you know, that that's a bad thing.
Exactly. Yeah, but a lot of things that are great for us, we've been told that they're bad for us. Like, you know, like literally, you know, being natural and having natural hair, we've been told is bad. You know, but how can something natural be bad?
Choosing not to eat meat, we're told is bad.
Choosing not to eat meat, we're told is bad. Literally choosing to drink water to some extent, we're told is bad. Literally everything that was created in order to sustain us, we're told is bad. And everything that was man-made to kind of, you know, sway us away from our natural instincts, we're told is good.
Capitalism.
Yeah.
Basically, the nutshell. So, okay, so what would be like, if you could, you know, rank your pieces, what's your favorite type of piece to create? Whether it be earrings, necklaces, armwear?
I think right now, my favorite type of piece to create are the power cuffs. And those are like the cuffs that I create. And basically, I like to create those right now just because I see those are the most accessible to people. I feel a lot of people are looking for cuffs in particular just due to fashion reasons, right? But then I really enjoy creating them for people because people are very receptive to it, but then it also is very healing. It helps people at the same time. And I love when somebody puts on a cuff and they take it off and they're like, whoa, I felt that. I feel a difference. I want to put this back on because I feel weird without it, but then it's like, whoa, how did I feel before I even had this in my life? Because I definitely feel a difference. Like I really enjoy that people they just feel the difference with that specifically. I also really enjoy creating earrings and ankhs. Like I love creating ankhs. A lot of people.
Like what you have on your neck.
Yeah, I have an ankh on right now. The ankh is an ancient symbol that basically is the combination of the divine feminine and the divine masculine to create life. It's also a very protective symbol. And there's a lot of esoteric knowledge to the ankh that, you know, I could get into. But the ankh is just something that I feel like a lot of people should look into and research and allow what resonates with them through their research from there, you know.
So we do have a few comments. I want to shout out Lonnie Boo, Jonathan McLean, Miss AK85, some of the you know, usuals that are on the show. Also, we have sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, Danae Dean on the show. She said that you're so soft spoken, so I'm not sure if she's telling you to speak up.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna speak louder.
So Miss AK85 said, "Can the guest speak up a little bit, please? It's hard to support a sister if we can't hear." So tell us about the ankh. I see you have a crystal around the top of it.
Okay, so the ankh. Let me talk louder. The ankh, the head of the ankh right here is representative of the divine feminine aspect, and then the base of the ankh right here is the divine masculine. The arms right here is basically the creation of life with the combination of the two. So when they come together, they create life. The ankh basically is the symbol. It's what not technology, but what electric is based off of. If you've ever heard of Tesla, he utilized the ankh, the shape and form and function of the ankh, to basically create energy. So through this form, you can amplify things. And when there's a crystal in the middle, it amplifies the energy of whatever is in the middle, specifically a crystal, especially because crystals have their own energy to them.
Each different crystal.
Yeah,
right.
Each crystal has its own energy and its own function as well. So crystals are like the elements that make up our bodies. Some are made out of calcite, for example, is made out of calcium, and that helps with our bones. Whereas something like pyrite is made out of iron, and that helps with our blood. Quartz is made out of silica, and it helps with our entire body, all of our chakras, especially with our brain. Fluorite has fluorine that helps with our third eye. There are so many different elements that we're made of that are found within the earth as well. So when we utilize these elements in conjunction with our bodies and with just our energies and our auras, we magnify our abilities.
Now you pointed to the ankh when you said quartz. So is that quartz that you use in there?
There's a quartz. It's kind of small, but there's a quartz in this ankh. And then I also have quartz earrings. And usually I use quartz because quartz is like one of the most powerful crystals, and it's very abundant. When you think of crystal clear water, it's because usually there's crystal quartz underneath the water. So quartz is silica based, but it also is very programmable. When you think of like a computer, think about how there's folders in the computer, and you can input a program into the computer and run that program. With the quartz crystal, you can essentially do the same exact thing. The quartz is what holds that program in the computer and our technology. So let's say you want to implement the program of being confident throughout your day and just have that reminder. You can meditate with your quartz or utilize the quartz in whatever form you feel necessary to do so, however it resonates with you. And then from there, it basically runs that program. It helps you to do that. It helps you to be confident or whatever the case may be.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm learning a whole lot right now. You don't even understand. I hope you guys are learning a lot too.
Yeah, I hope you can hear me.
Yeah. So what are the names that you call your pieces? Like the neck piece, I see you said power cuffs. Yes.
Power pieces. It looks good, but the main purpose behind it is literally just to assist you with your energy, to heighten it, to amplify it, to do whatever it is that you need to give you that extra boost, because everything in our world is based on energy. And energy is never destroyed nor created. It's literally just transferred, and it continues to flow. So when you flow your energy, when you amplify your energy, when you align your energy, that's when you feel the most powerful. That's when you feel in alignment, and when it resonates not only with self but with those around you as well.
Now I see your neck piece goes around 3 times. Is that difficult to put on and take off?
Well, I stop it in the back.
Oh, okay.
So it's easy to take off. You can take it off. Each piece kind of has a different functionality. So most of the pieces, they have like a clasp where you can open and close it. And a lot of the pieces that I create also have a multi-purpose as well. So you can wear something as a bracelet, but then you can also wear it as a necklace, or you can wear it as a wrist cuff, or you can wear it as a bralette. It just really depends on how you feel in order to basically be able to wear it in any way, because it's all based on energy. So let's say you don't want to have something around your waist on that day, you could put it on your neck, and then you still have the piece on, and you're still getting the energetic properties from it.
Now, I've seen you tagged in a lot of photography from multiple different photographers and artists and everything like that. How would you say was the start for you, getting out there in terms of like that, getting that clientele, just people like word of mouth? You see people that. How did that start?
Yeah, I guess it would just be by word of mouth, but then also being I have a lot of friends that are in music or, that are photographers. Even my boyfriend, Nagpit, he's a musician. He wears a lot of my stuff. My best friend, Jade Lilly, she's a photographer. Dina Dean, she's a musician. Ayana, the model, she's a model. Raw Image, all of these people. Marley Jane, Jasmine Nicole Art, it's just a group of collectives. There are so many people, so many collectives and creatives that are a part of the Miami scene, I guess, or just the Miami culture, and really just getting out and meeting people and being, getting connected is really how you can start, because there are so many creatives that are just looking to support and help one another. Yeah. We all really do come out and we build each other, we assist one another, and we're all great at what it is that we do because we have that support. You know what I'm saying? So just word of mouth through that, but then also just by being in close contact with so many other amazing people really expands that network.
And one thing I've noticed since moving down here in Miami, the creators have their own community as opposed to everything else you see in Miami, because earlier in Towns and Tuesdays, having other guests, we talked about Miami can be such a warm city, but so cold at the same time, because you see, like, you may work with somebody one time and look forward to, collaborating with that person in the future. And then that network kind of just falls off just because everybody in Miami is so focused on doing their own thing. Yeah. How as opposed to when you get deeper into Miami communities and you dive into that creative community, the creators are a lot closely knit than everything else is. And I definitely, that's definitely something that I've pointed out and noticed in Miami. So what has it been like growing up in Miami? Or I mean, you're not from
I'm
Miami.
from Tampa.
Okay, so what has it been like, since you moved down to Miami, getting into that creative aspect and, just thriving as a creative in Miami?
I mean, to be honest, when I first got here, it was difficult.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't know this, but when I first got to Miami, I was homeless. Like, literally, there's nowhere to be in Miami. The cost of living here is extremely high.
Yeah.
In order to secure housing, they want first, last, and a security deposit.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to make it and maintain in the big city. So I was homeless when I first got here. And from there, though, I continued pushing, and I continued to network, and I continued to want to be a part of, that creative scene. I didn't allow that to stop me. I kept keeping on with my craft, and I think that's really what it is all about, continuing in the midst of obstacles, overcoming those obstacles, not allowing them to stop you or define you. And I feel like so many people get caught up on getting pushed down that they forget to get back up. And that's the most important thing, I feel, especially being here, because Miami can be very harsh. It is a lot. It's very fast paced. But just, continuing to move forward in the midst of adversity, and not allowing that to change or shift my mindset, I feel like really helped to get me to this point. But then also, finding people that I connect with and that I click with, because it's all based on energy, and you vibe with people. You can feel that. I think my spiritual transition led me to Miami. Okay. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I think that I'm still in that spiritual journey. I'm still spiritually trying to find myself. I'm still battling, wanting to eat crazy stuff as opposed to what it is I know I should be eating. I'm still trying to find a balance between ratchet music and, ohms and ahms, you know what I'm saying? So just that whole thing, just finding that balance, I feel. But it's definitely a journey, and I'm not exactly where I want to be, but where I am now I'm comfortable with, because I like to live within the now, you know what I'm saying? I like to see things for what they are now, and I like to move towards a certain goal, but I also like to recognize that where I am now is okay too, because I'm still growing, I'm still evolving, I'm still learning.
And we're always going to be growing and evolving and learning.
Exactly.
And a lot of people don't understand that, which is why they stress themselves out so much, because they're like, I'm not here yet, and I want to be, but it's like you're not there because you're not supposed to be there yet.
Right, exactly. And even when you get there, there's always going to be somewhere else that you can go. Further, you can always go further. I feel like life, we are continuously going to be a student, but at the same time, we're going to be the teacher as well. And then when we get to a certain point, we're going to be the master. But even then, it's like we're still the student, and we're still the teacher, and we're kind of everything at once. And when we allow ourselves to be comfortable with that, that's when we can really see things for what they are and continue to move forward with that.
Definitely agree with that. So is copper expensive?
No, copper is not expensive. It's accessible, but at the same time, it can be expensive, just depending on the type of copper that you get. So a lot of people get craft copper, or copper that's meant to just be for jewelry. But I get electrical copper because I don't create jewelry for the sense of, aesthetic, or fashion. I create jewelry, or what I like to say, SOLERY, for the sense of purpose, for power, for energy. What's the point of using something if you're not going to use it right,
SOLERY.
Yeah.
I like that. Did you create that, or did you hear that somewhere?
My brother was like, I think what you create is more for the soul. You should call it SOLERY. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I like that. I'm going to call it SOLERY.
So is that where you got your name from, Soul 7?
Well, soul is it's a play on the sun as source, or just that kind of source power light. And then also soul as in our being, our spirit. And then 7 is a very... it's a very powerful number and a very special number to me. It's the number of perfection and completion, but then it's also the name of my late daughter. So it's kind of like an ode to 7, kind of remembering everything that has occurred up until this point. with the soul that is 7, but then also the completion and the perfection of what it is that I'm trying to do, not only for myself, but for everyone around me. Yeah.
Wow. I'm glad you broke that down for us.
Yeah.
So, okay, so do you have, is all your clients from Miami, or do you ship SOLERY to other places or across?
I definitely ship SOLERY to different places. I actually, a lot of the things that I do, because I realize in America, most people don't really work with copper or with metals, and just do that as like something that they do with their hands, and it's like common, you know. But I went out of country to Morocco once, and a lot of people use their hands, and it's something that they do out there, and it's something that a lot of people overseas look for. So I definitely ship, and I definitely like to allow people outside of America to have access to SOLERY and to the pieces that I create. Yeah.
Okay. So if you guys are watching and you're interested in some SOLERY, you can follow her at sol.svn. Okay, cool. So I'll actually drop that in here as well. Cool. So don't forget, you guys, you can ask some questions and drop some comments. We do have a question from Ms. AK85. She has, what's one thing do you find most important of maintaining your spiritual balance?
I guess the one thing that I find most important for maintaining my own spiritual balance is not being too hard on myself. You know, like I am my biggest critic, and I can be my worst enemy. So I find that just allowing myself to be in the moment and not being too hard on, you know, whether I don't know, did something that I would consider stupid, like eating soy, which is really hard to do when you're vegan and you like to eat organic foods, because most vegan foods are made out of soy, you know? So just things of that nature, just not being too hard on myself with the journey, you know, allowing myself to be human. I think that's really the hardest part of being a spiritual being. It's forgetting to some extent that we're still undergoing a human experience, you know? So allowing myself to make human mistakes or do human things, and finding a balance between being spiritual but then also living a human existence. I think that's really the most important part, and that's how I try to maintain a spiritual balance.
Good answer, and a great question. Thank you, Ms. AK85, for that question. So what's the process? I'm sure there is a process. What's the process like for you to create your different pieces? Like what's a piece that takes you a short amount of time to create, and something that takes a long time to create?
So the process would really I think the first thing that I have to do when I start creating is be in a creative mindset or a creative mentality to find the inspiration to create and to do that. So from there, you know, whether I decide to create a ring, if I make something simple like a swirl ring, it's a flow. So everything that I do, for the most part, not that I can only create it once, but it's based on a mindset or a creative flow that I'm in that moment, you know? So I create, and I just flow with an idea that comes to mind, and from there something is created. And that's on the most basic level of just not utilizing or making something that is super intricate. But if I make something that's more so intricate, like an ankh, that takes a lot more of thought process of trying to decide, okay, so what crystals am I going to put in it? Am I going to use crystals in it at all? Or am I going to put crystals in the pillars? Am I going to put a crystal in the base? You know, what size ankh am I going to make? Just from there's like a process of trying to figure out how like large or small I'm going to make the coils and things of that nature, how intricate the piece is going to be. So yeah, and that can take me anywhere from like 2 hours to 2 weeks, just depending on the size of the ankh, the intricacy of the ankh, or whatever the case may be.
So basically, there's no blueprint to like making these things.
Yeah,
it's basically all you.
I literally, I just kind of just flow. Like when I wrap crystals specifically, some people find this weird, but I like to talk to the crystal, and I ask the crystal, okay, how do you want me to wrap you? Like, what do you want? And I think that's why the crystal looks so good, because it's like I'm communicating with it, you know. And
I'm asking, love in it.
Exactly. I'm like, hey, so how do you want to flow? What do you want to look like? And then from there, I create based on what I perceive or what I get.
So basically, something like that ankh is probably very slim to none chances that there's going to be something exactly like that.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else like this exact ankh in the world, honestly. Yeah, which is kind of mind-blowing to think about. But yeah, it's just based on literally just what comes to mind.
I think it's mind-blowing, but it's also very attractive or appealing in a sense, because that's something, that what I have is one of a kind, like no one else. People are always looking for something, like they want to have something because they want to be one of the few or the only ones to have it.
Right.
So that's it's mind-blowing, but very appealing that you can create things like that. So as we're wrapping it up, just plug yourself in, tell us where we can find you and everything like that.
So yes, my Instagram is sol7, SOL.SVN. My personal Instagram is solauset, SOL.AUSET. And you can kind of find me on that. I'm also in the creative scene. I do a lot of vending events, just with different creatives. I'll be in Miami doing a lot of Art Basel events if you're going to be in Miami then. I would love to travel more, so if you're not from Miami and you would love to, meet, I definitely would love to travel and meet you. I'm working on my online presence right now with having a website built. So I will have a website really soon, and that'll be linked to my Instagram. So if you do have Instagram, you can find that there. You can also email me, sol.auset@gmail.com. If you have any questions, you can also DM me. Any of those means. And then also when I have the website, you can always contact me directly there as well.
Yeah, follow her on Instagram so you get notified when she drops the website and everything like that.
Yes.
So we do have some more questions from the audience as we wrap things up. Can we see your stomach piece, and what was your inspiration to the stomach piece?
Okay, cool. So I have a stomach piece. I don't know if you can see it. I can't even see myself. I gotta wear glasses, but I don't have it. Kind of just based on waist beads, but actually using crystals, using copper. And I don't just work with copper. I can work with any metal. It's just copper is the most accessible. And I want to create pieces that are accessible to people. That's like the main thing, just allowing people to have access to it. Because if I'm using, straight gold and it costs $5,000, it's like, who's really going to be able to access that within our everyday community?
Right.
Because it's for everyday people, but people, that want to experience and heighten their energy.
Yeah.
But
And so Miss AK85 said that's lovely. So I ask this question every week, and this is basically the red pill or the blue pill, and you just let me know which pill you would take. So the red pill is you go forward 10 years and you have $5 million, and then you go the blue pill and you go backwards 10 years, but you know everything that you know now. Which pill are you taking?
I would take the blue pill. I would go backwards, know everything that I know now, and then from there, because I feel like if we knew a lot of the things that we know now, we would be able to assist. And where would we be now? Where we are now would be completely different from where we would be, in 10 years. I feel like that would help me get to this moment, and help everyone around me get to that moment, to this moment too. So I would definitely want to know a lot of these things beforehand, just because this is very powerful knowledge, this is really what is going to free us from the mental enslavement that we've been held in based on our societal conditioning. You know what I'm saying? So just knowing the difference, and knowing that it is okay to love yourself. It is okay to do something outside of the norm and be, and still be okay, that type of thing. I would definitely go back and just know more and teach more.
That was, again, you brought another new perspective to the thing. Every time I ask the question, people bring tons of different perspectives to. So, you have people who take the red pill because they don't want to go back and they don't want to change things. And you have people who go back just for the fact that they know everything and they're going to, do a whole bunch of like gambling, win the lottery or something like that. But so, people have their reasons. Guys, as we're wrapping things up, like I keep saying that, feel free to ask your last minute questions, drop your last minute comments. And I will just ask you one more question is, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, where do I see myself? Also a very interesting question. Yeah. I'm not sure. Like, I'm still trying to visualize where I see myself. I have trouble visualizing where I see myself in 30 days, much less like, 5 years. I would love for my pieces to really make an impact, and for so many more people to really be into just the energy of things, and for there to be a movement that moves us away from, the social constructs that we've been taught are how we're supposed to live, meaning like, the self-hate, the death culture, things of that nature, and move more into sustaining things, things that are building us. And for me specifically, I would just love to see my craft take off more, and to get, just get more skilled in what it is that I'm doing, work with different metals and different mediums, and really just have us all looking royal. Because when you look back 100 years from now, when you look back at old photos and like history or whatever the case may be, you notice the pieces that they're wearing, you notice the jewelry that they're wearing. And I really want us to go down in our story and the mystery that is my story as being powerful, as having that royal, soulry, or whatever the case may be, and I guess that wouldn't necessarily be 5 years, because, I still want to be here in 5 years. I don't know if I answered the question.
No, you answered the question. That was a great answer. And that is, I guess that's technically like a trick question, because, if you're always, growing and, constantly learning, there's no real answer to where you think you'll be in the next 5 years, honestly.
I'm not sure where I would be.
So that was a good answer. You answered the question greatly. Thank you. So guys, I appreciate you all for tuning in to Talented Tuesdays. We do have some comments, great guests, some clapping emojis. I love Copper, actually.
Thanks,
So, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in again. I'm your host, Kai Speaks, aka Mr. 215 to 305. And we have our guests all set.
Yay.
AKA Soul 7.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you so much.
We are out.